Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Knits and Knacks. Thank you so much for clicking on this tutorial. It's always a pleasure to spend some time with you. We are going to make Mr. Panda together. He is just so adorable. I hope that you have fun making him. I used my Addi 46 needle and my 22 needle machines, but you can go ahead and use your Sentros as well, and they will work just fine. I used Caron Simply Soft yarn in the colors white and black. And you know what? I tried just a simple but new technique to the legs, and I hope you enjoy it. I think it looks great, and I hope you do too. So follow along and let's make Mr. Panda together. But if you wouldn't mind, please taking a second to hit that like button, that thumbs up, and the subscribe as well. If you do so, that supports my channel, and I just really appreciate it so very much. So thank you again, friends, for joining me. I hope you have fun in this tutorial, and I look forward to spending this time with you. All right, friends, we are ready to go. I've got my 46 needle machine, and you can also use your 48 needle Sentro if that's what you've got. We're going to bring the last white and the first black needle in line with our yarn guide there. We're going to cast on. So go in front of that first black, behind, in front and behind, just letting that yarn naturally slip through your fingers. Don't put any tension on it for this part. And we're casting on. We're doing a drawstring cast on. Back and forth, just like this. And it should be behind that last white needle, and into the yarn guide it goes. I'm going to set my row counter to 0, and we are going to knit 25 rows for our head. So simple. Just going to keep going round and round and round, just like this. And make sure that you use the same speed. I always pull this little thing down after a couple rounds, but you go the same speed. And that you have the same tension on your yarn. I'm giving it a light tension. It's between my fingers like this, and I'm just giving it a real light tension as it slips through my fingers. And I'm just going to keep knitting. Our machines love Caron Simply Soft, so if that's the yarn that you bought for this project as well, you're going to love it. Like, it's just a dream to work with. So I'm on 8. I'm going to keep going, friends, until I get to row 25, and then I'll see you back. Just clicked on row 25. I'm going to watch for that black divider to come around. I take a black permanent marker and I mark that red divider between my last white and my first black. There's row 25. Now we can cut our white yarn. We're going to open our latch, pop it between the last white and the first black. We need to make sure it goes there because we still have to knit this needle and this needle, okay? We're going to take our black, we're going to pop it into there. We're going to do a jogless join, which means we're going to now take this black yarn tail, instead of leaving it there. If you don't want to do a jogless join, you just leave it there. Then after you knit a few needles, you can tie a firm knot onto there, but I like to do a jogless join. So we're going to take this black yarn, we're going to bring it over to the other side of that white needle. Oops, making sure that stays in the center of my, just like that. Bring it over to the other side of that white needle. Now they're crisscrossed in there. And when we take this off the machine, we are going to pull on these in such a way that our line for our join is going to be straight across and there's not going to be any jog in it. It's so fun. You're going to love it. So now we have to knit 4 or 5 needles just like that. Then you're going to take your 2 ends of your black, pop those loops down underneath the red dividers, and watch what happens here when you pull on both ends. See how that snugged up the tension? If you don't do that, then your tension at the beginning of every row is going to be looser than the rest of your project. So I'm just gonna cut these off so that they're even. Now what we're going to do is we are going to just knit with our black for 12 rows. So we did 25 rows of white. We're going to do 12 rows of black, which will take us to row 37. And again, don't worry about these little tails. They're okay. We're going to fix that when we take it off the machine. So I'm going to knit 12 rows of black, and I'm going to go till I get to row 37. And friends, I'll meet you back then. Just finishing up row 37. There we go. Oh, this is going so fast. You're going to cut your black yarn. You're going to take your white again. You're going to put that black tail between the last white and the first black. Again, we have to finish knitting this one and we have to knit this one yet. So drop that down into there. Take your white, pop it into there, close your latch. we're going to take that white tail and bring it around to the other side of that white needle again for our second jogless join. We're going to knit 4 or 5 needles, pop those down, tug on that, drop these down. I just cut them off so that they're the same length. It doesn't really matter. And we are going to knit with this white 18 rows. So we're at row 37. We're going to knit 18 rows of white. That will take us to row 55. So friends, keep going till you get to row 55, which will mean you've done 18 rows of white, and then I'll see you back. Just clicked on row 55. I'm going to finish that. There we go. You're going to cut this off. So what we've done so far is we have done our head and we've done our body. Now we're going to do the legs. And when your project starts to touch the table, then what it does is it puts slack on this, and you could risk dropping these loops off the red teeth. So go ahead and pick it up and turn it inside of itself to make a donut. And that will help keep the tension nice around your barrel here, and you're not gonna lose any of your stitches. So now you're gonna open your latch, pop your tail between the last white and the first black. You're gonna go ahead and grab your black yarn one more time, pop it in, do a jogless join, knit 4 or 5 needles, help those down, give it a tug, drop that in the center, and you are going to knit the legs. Oops. And we're going to knit 20 rows for our legs. So friends, you're going to knit 20 rows of black or gold until it takes you to row 75. Coming up on the end of row 75, that's 20 rows of black. What you're going to do now is you're going to take a tail that's long enough to go around your barrel 1.5 to 2 times, okay? I don't have to measure because I've done it so many times before. It's okay. Then you're going to open your latch, make sure that goes, you got it, between the last white and the first black, because we still have to knit off these 2 needles. You're going to take your needle and you're going to thread that tail, and we're going to cast off. We're going to do a drawstring cast off. So we're going to hold this with some tension so those 2 can knit. And as we turn our handle, our needles drop down and our stitches become available to take off. So I'm going to take my needle, I'm going to go underneath the loops and take them off. Rotate my handle some more and continue the process. Holding them on your needle with your thumb if you take several at a time. And if you pull up too high on this, you're going to take drop the loop off of these 2 red teeth and drop your row. So be very, very careful when you do this to make sure your tension is right, in the sense that you know the feel of it. If you don't know the feel of it and you lift that up too tight, if you want to prevent this dropping off, put your finger over top of it. Just like this. Oops. I can't do it anymore because I know the feel of it, but that's how you do it, okay? So you take one at a time, putting your finger over top until you get the feel. Otherwise, when you pick up these loops, just don't lift up your needle too high and you'll be fine. Hold them on with your thumb, pull it through, and keep going around until you have your project removed from your machine. And then, friends, go ahead and make a second panel or tube just exactly the way we made this one. Okay, doesn't take too long. I'm going to make sure that that's not doubled in there. My tail is a little bit longer, so let's fix that. There we go. I'm going to continue around. I'm going to remove my tube, and then I'm going to make another one exactly like it. Have fun, friends, and I'll see you back when you're done. We now have our 2 pieces off the machine, and you will notice that we've got these wide openings here, and that's because we have to close our jogless joins. We're going to do that first. Actually, what we're going to do first is we're going to stretch our work widthwise and lengthwise. We'll line up all those rows. You can do it before or after. It doesn't really matter, but I always like to do it first. And there you go. We're going to fix these. Take a look at them now, and you'll see the magic happening very soon. We're going to go up to the top one here, You see how, because our knitting machines knit in the round, every time you every time you get to the beginning of a new row, it goes up, and that's how we get bigger and bigger and bigger. We want to eliminate this problem. So we're going to take our 2 strands, just like this, separate them. You're going to just pull them apart till you see those 2 rows line up. Generally, I do it with more oomph than that, but you don't have to. I just get carried away sometimes because if you watch my tutorials, I love doing this. It's just so satisfying. It's so great. Then you're going to take this. Don't tie this first knot too tight because then you're going to pull on the stitches. It's the second one that you'll tie tighter. Just like that. Now you can cut this off shorter if you like. We're going to go up to the next one. And we're going to pull. See, if you just give it a little quick tug too, you'll get it in. It pretty much stops where it's supposed to. You'll feel the tension on it when it's ready to stop. So that's where you stop. Don't pull it any tighter than that. Now we're going to tie this, and then this one will be tighter. Off to the next one. Pull them apart. You see how that came together? We're going to tie and tie. Can't wait to show you the other side. Cut this off and then put it back the other way and see if you can tell where it is. Seriously, friends, look at that. Straight across, straight across, straight across. Well, this is straight because this is the back. This is where our join is. Right there, and there, and there, because I can feel the knot, but you can't see it, right? Look how straight that is. You're going to want to do this on all of your blankets, everything that you have that has a color change. You're going to want to do the jogless join like this because it's like beautiful. Go ahead, do that to your second piece. Grab your fiber fill, grab your sewing needle, and meet me back. All right, friends, so here are our pieces. Now, if you line them up and one is like this and you say, oh, the lines don't line up, well, I can't do it because mine are stretched out evenly, but I hear this with blankets and stuff too, that one tube is longer than the other. How do I make it shorter? How come they're not lining up properly? It's simply in your stretching process. You might have stretched one a little bit longer than the other, but when you seam them together, any tubes together, if you know you have done the exact amount of rows that you should do on both of them, then once you start seaming together, then it's going to pull it back into its rightful alignment and it will be great. Don't be cutting off rows and pulling out, sections when you know you've done the right amount. So let's grab our needle with some yarn on it. I'm going to take the white and we're going to do our mattress stitch together. Okay, so here's where my knot is. And here's where my knot's on this side. I don't want to seam over the knot, so I'm actually gonna put it in the middle. It's a jogless join anyway, so you're not gonna see it when your work is done. So I'm gonna put it in the middle so that these actually line up, because even though it was a jogless join and we pulled them tight, there's still like a smidgen, like not much, but your knot is still going to get in the way a little bit. So I don't want to sew on the knot. Look how beautifully that matches up. So I just put my knot over here somewhere. And now I'm going to go from this side. We're going to line up our rows. So just grab it anywhere. I'm going to line it up so that the wide part of the V is going to the left. See, on both sides. I'm going to straighten out that row so that I have a few stitches showing. This is our legs. We're not going to work in there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go into that first white stitch and we're going to pick up 2 bars. Pull through. Go into the first white stitch on this side, pick up 2 bars. And that's our starting position. We're going to continue smoothing this out. If you work with just like 6 to 8 stitches at a time, you can straighten that row out, pinch it with your fingers over here, and you can easily see those stitches. And then just take a small section at a time. So often people will say, I can't do the mattress stitch or the invisible join because I can't stay on the same row. Well, you can if you take a small section and you pinch it so that it's up like that. There's all kinds of gadgets out there people are using to help them, and that's great. If you have a method that helps you, then you go ahead and use it. But if you just concentrate on a small section, you'll get it. So now I'm going to concentrate on the next small section. Here's where I came out. I'm going to go into that same stitch, pick up 1, 2. Here's where I came out. I'm going to go into that section, pick up 2. If you always focus on where you came out, you're going to stay on the same row. It's impossible not to. So here's where I came out. So I know this is my row. I'm going to pick up 2. Here's where I came out. So I know that's my row. I'm going to pick up 2. And I'm going to continue on my merry way up the side until I get to my color change. Picking up 2 bars, straightening out my row. Now you're going to have a hard time seeing the black because black in a camera is very hard to see. And there we go. Now what I want to do is I have 1 stitch left on both rows before my color change. I want to end there. So I'm going to go pick up just 1. Into this one, pick up just 1. Then I'm going to grab both tails and I'm going to pull. And when I just pick up the white, then it's going to line that up perfectly. So now this is where you're going to have a hard time seeing. I'm going to grab that same row. Just like so. That might be where you struggle, because when you pull this tight, then this gets tight in here, but you're going to just find where you left off. This is where I left off. I'm going to go in, I'm going to pick up 2. This is where I left off. I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick up 2. So I never want to mattress stitch over my knots. Always put them out of the way. and have a nice flat, even surface here for you to work on, and then you'll be able to line up your rows a lot nicer. There we go. Okay, friends, I'm going to continue doing this invisible join all the way up. And I know we've got some edges like this, but just go up as far as you can. I'll meet you up when I get here. I'm going to go maybe 2nd stitch from the top, and that will be good. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to work my way up to this join, and well, let's just do 1 more join together. Okay, I'm going to go in here together, or in here, pick up 2. Go into this one, pick up 2. 2. I'm gonna, if there was only 1 left here, I would pick up just 1 so that I end in the stitch that's where my break is. So this is where I'm going to pick up. Oops, get in there. And then back into this one, and I'm going to end where my break is, right there, where the color changes. Then you can take both ends again and pull, or you can pinch where you left off and pull, and we're getting a nice straight row. Okay, straight this way and that way. Keep going. I'll see you when we get close to the top. I'm at the top here. I'm going to take those 2, and I still have 1 left. I'm going to leave that. Okay, and then I'm going to pinch where I left off and pull. There you go. So we have 1 side sewn together beautifully. Looks awesome. Very, very happy. Ignore these. We're not there yet. We'll get there. But now what we need to do is we need to smooth this out so it's completely smooth. Flip it over. Pop that over to there. And begin the same thing. Okay? So now you're going to put it so that your wide part of the V on both rows is going to the left. You're going to attach a piece of white yarn, and you're going to do the exact same thing up this other side. Okay, friends, go ahead, do that, and when you're done that, meet me back. All right, great job. You've seamed the 2 tubes together. Now we've got, you can stick your hand in there, and there's a tube, and here's our seams. Okay, what we want to do now is we want to put those seams, 1 in the front and 1 in the back, just like that. And this is where, having done our seam the way we did it, it's perfect because it's going to work out so great for our project. So now what you want to do is when you have one in the front middle, one in the back middle, we can now work on our legs. So then we're going to take these two tubes. See how that becomes the legs? And we're going to take black yarn and we're going to, I'm going to hold it this way. We're going to go from the middle here out to that side. We could stick with the white if it's long enough. I'm going to try with the white. It's already there. It's long enough. I cut it a little bit, but I shouldn't have maybe cut it quite so much. Then we're going to, don't make the mistake of putting these two together and following that down. You want to put these two together, okay? So take your piece. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. That's the middle and this is the middle. I'm going to tie a knot on these two yarn tails, just like that, to seam that center piece together, and that might help you visually a little bit better, okay? And then I'll put this onto my needle and I'm going to line those up. Again, same way, wide part of the V is going to the left. I'm going to come up into here and I'm going to grab that one stitch. Might be a little bit of a guesswork for you. Let's get this yarn tail out of the way. Just so that I can, and we can fill in that hole later too by sewing it separately. But I'm just going to pick up that first black stitch. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the same thing. Pick up 2 bars. Might be a little challenging with this length of yarn tail, but I got it. And 2, and 2, and 2. All the way up like we did. I'm going to have to pull mine every once in a while so that I can get some length on this, but I'll easily make it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew, invisible seam this down as far as I can get it. 1 stitch from the end, okay? Just like what we did with our other sections. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same on this side. You can see that that's nicely sewn. Pull on that, you don't even see the white. I'm going to continue on down for this one. I thought I would start it with you because I wanted to remind you to make sure the wide part of the stitch is going to the left. That easily fell into place. But you're going to pick up this white one just so that you can join that. Just pick up 1 white stitch. And if there's a hole there later, we'll go in, we'll fix it, okay? And I'm going to take my time with this one too because this yarn tail is even shorter than the other one, but I'll just make a few stitches and then I'll pull on it and work my way down. Oh, you see how I went into there? And the point of the V is going the wrong direction, so I picked up the wrong row. It happens to all of us. So let me try that one more time. There we go. All right, friends, I'll see you when you get to the end. Once we have made it down, we're going to then close our bottom of our legs. Just let this just fall there. We'll work with it in a bit. So we're going to take our tail and we're going to pull this close just by pulling on this yarn tail and then smoothing out. Once we have that pulled, we're going to take it, put it on our needle. Take a smaller needle, put that out of the way. We're going to reinforce it so it's like a little circle. Okay, so pop that in there, smooth it out. So basically this is just in half there and we want to join the two to make it into a circle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up that first row of stitches, and you're going to have a hard time seeing this, I'm sorry, but you get the idea. And then I'm going to go around and pick up the other side here so that I can close it off like that. See how easy that was? Just put it into a little circle. Go around, top row of stitches. And back to where I started, right there. pull it tight, tie a little knot, and one more. Push that down with your thumb. What I'm going to do with this one is I don't want to see any white. That's why maybe attaching a black would have been better, but no bother, this works. I'm going to take this down and put it in between and I'm going to feed it all the way back to the white. Just like that. It's long enough for me to do so. And then I'm going to tie my knot there. I'm going to tie another little knot and then hide it into my work. I'm going to do the same for the other side. Here's another way you can do it. You can tie your knot here. Before you completely close that, I cinched it closed a little bit, not a lot. Then I'm going to hide this down in between the work, pull it through. This is an easier way to do it. And then I'm going to take this yarn tail and then I'm going to cinch this closed. So basically what this is you've cinched it closed and then it's in half so that your circle becomes like a half circle. I can't show you with my fingers. Becomes like a half circle as you pull it. Just the main thing to think about is to make sure you pull, make sure you're pulling to tighten this and at the same time smoothing it out so you don't have a bunch there. Then I'm going to just bring these two edges together, these two sides together, and I'm going to go around the top and secure them and finish it off. See, I have a little dip there because that's where it's open, so I'm going to just join that. I'm going to go into those ones and I'm going to go over to this side. I'm going to pick up and I'm going to pull. And now it's a complete circle. Okay, so that's what you have to do. And I'm just going to pick up this one stitch here. If there's a little gap, you just fix it. So now all I have to do is pick up a little bit, tie a knot, pull that knot down with my thumb, do it one more time, pop that into that center, bring it out of your work, pull it through it so that knot goes on the inside, cut it off, straighten it out, and we have our second leg ready to be stuffed. All right, friends, so now what you want to do is you want to grab a piece of white yarn to separate our head, okay? Grab a piece of white yarn, it'll go around 1.5 times, put it on your needle, and I'll meet you back. I'm all ready to go. Generally what I do is I pick up one stitch, go over a stitch, pick up one stitch, go over a stitch. I'm going to do something different for this one, and probably for ever and a day, whenever I make a needed cinch, this is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to go pick up half of the stitch, go over the one bar, under one bar, over, under, over, under, over, under. Instead of picking up 2 bars, I'm only picking up 1. So I'm picking up half of the stitch. I think it's going to make, and I'm doing this with you for the first time. It just dawned on me, why don't I do that? I think it'll make a smoother neck. Okay, so but we're going to find out together. All the way around. Easy to follow because of the color break that we have. Over one, under, over, under, over, under. Again, I'm not taking the whole stitch, I'm taking half of the stitch. Do this all the way around and meet me back. I've made it all the way around. I'm just going to cut that shorter so it's easier to work with. We're going to now just lightly see that's where our division is going to be. We're going to cinch this head in a bit, but we have to stuff our body first. So pull out these yarn tails that are attached to the top of the head. And we are going to begin our stuffing process. Take my fiber fill, pop it in there. I'm going to get it right into that first leg. Add a little bit more. Do a little bit at a time. You don't want to overstuff so that your stitches are like that. So when your stitches start to separate like that, you need to take some out. You want them nice and firm, but you want them to hold their shape. So don't overstuff your piece. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna continue stuffing that leg. I think that's probably enough for that one leg. Maybe even a little too much. I'm gonna stuff the next one. Then I'm gonna stuff the body up to the neck and I'll meet you back. Once you've got the body stuffed quite full the way you want it, you're gonna start stuffing the head. Let me grab some more fiber fill. Making sure all those tails are accessible to you. And we're not going to do it so tight that you can't fill it. We're going to just, pardon me, we're not going to just tighten these so tight that you can't add some if you need to. So just do it moderately, okay? Just like that. Pop that in there. Once it gets to about the surface like that, we're going to then begin to tighten the head. So you're going to take, we've got our two pieces here. This is one tube and this is the other tube. We're going to take one side and we're going to pull it. And at the same time, we're going to smooth out the edge, okay? Make sure you don't miss that part because it's so important to getting the nicest finish possible. We're going to pull that, smooth it out, and that's the same with on all beanies. I say that all the time. Smooth it out. Don't let it cinch completely closed without a completely smooth top. And there we are. Go on the inside here and pull that one a little bit. And there we've got one. We're going to go ahead and do the other side. Paying attention to detail for that side too. It's wanting to fall over the other end of the table for me. So I keep pulling it back. There we go. And this is the tube that was, this is from here. This one is coming from here. I actually can, at this point, you need to tie this off. So you're going to take it and you're going to, can I get this in the camera properly now that it's stuffed? We're going to just grab a couple more stitches going up. I'm staying on that same row. A couple more and a couple more on this side to take it up to the top, but don't pull it so tight that it's going to gather in here, okay? Because this yarn tail is coming right from the bottom there. So I'm going to just leave it at that. I'm going to take it over to here, grab a stitch, and I'm going to just tie this off the best that I can. Just like that. Tie another knot. Just to secure this. And just hide it up into the work. Just like that. Cut it off. Get it out of your way. From there, we are going to eyeball our body. So now that we have our head in there, we're going to visualize how tight we need to put this. So let's take our two yarn tails and we're going to cinch it in. You know what? I really like picking up half a stitch. It makes a huge difference. I haven't done that to this point, and I was just thinking as I was making this, why don't I do it that way? And it just makes for a much smoother neck. So there we go. We're going to tighten that, but not cinch it so that he looks like he's choking. We want to give him some slack, okay? Just so there's a nice curve in there, but nothing too wild. Then we're going to give this a tie. I'm going to go a little bit tighter, actually. It loosened. I found that if I tighten it and then I give it a half a spin, it holds that knot in place, and then I can tie it without it coming loose as I'm trying to tie. Then we've got two knots in there. We're going to take this. We are going to hide it up into the work. Cut it off. Cinch up the head. So you're going to take This is the tail from this long end that's going here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a knot for that like I did to the other side and hide it, and I'll be right back. Okay, once you get him stuffed like you want him, so you can add more stuffing to the top of the head before you close this off. And once you get the head to where you think it needs to be, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put one of these yarn tails onto your needle. And all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick up the top row of stitches on that half and the top row of stitches on this half, and that's going to join them together and make one circle out of the two half circles. Okay, so I'm going to go around, pick up my stitches. Don't worry about this, we'll catch that when we get all the way around. Pick up my stitches. You can leave this one out if you think you're going to need some more tail. We're going to go around. As we do so, pick up the side stitch on either piece, on both pieces, and continue around. He's too tall to get into the camera there, so before you give him a good tie, you're going to make sure you assess his head, make sure it's how you want it to be. And I think it is. He doesn't look like a panda yet, but as you saw in the beginning of the video, he definitely will. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to continue around here, picking up this circle and making it a nice tight close. It's easy to do, but I just have to also come up here and sew this together because there's a piece there that needs to be a little bit sewn a little bit tighter. And then I'm going to go around, close this, tie a knot, hide my end. Continuing around, I took this other tail and I just sewed that little piece that was needing to be sewed there. And then I can easily continue around one more time around this circle and I should have it closed. Trying to get this in the camera the best that I can, but I think you get the idea. Okay, and then when you pull on it, it closes. I'm going to do it a little bit more, tighten it, then I'm going to tie these two in a firm, tight knot, hide my ends, and then we're going to grab our 22 needle machine and our black yarn, and I'll see you back. Next up, we're going to make the arms. So last white, first black in line, we're going to cast on, just like we've been doing. And into that yarn guide, set your row counter to 0. And you're going to slowly lint that first row. And you're going to knit for 40 rows. Usually second or third row, I always pull this little yarn tail down. You're going to knit for 40 rows, and then when you've finished your 40 rows, you're going to cut off a tail that goes around your barrel at least twice, or 1.5 to 2 times is what I always tell you. And then you're going to cast off just like what we've been doing. Okay, so cast on, knit 40 rows, cast off, make 2. Okay, here's one arm. Of course, you've made 2. We're going to stretch it out. We're going to pull on one end to close that tube, just like that. And we're going to reinforce it around. Going around the very top row of stitches, one time is all you need. That's halfway around. And then the other half. We don't need to tie a knot on this one because we're going to feed it through. Make sure your rings don't snag on this yarn because it's very delicate. Poke it through that hole, grab the top, bring both through, the needle and that point, that edge through, pull that knot through. Then you're going to close up this other side, smoothing out the top as you go. Now you can take these two. You can tie a nice firm knot, bringing the inside layer up to the outside layer. I'm going to cut these off a little bit shorter so I can work with them. Actually, I was going to say you're going to hide them on the inside, but you don't have to. You just have to turn it inside out like that, and they're already hidden. Just like so. Now you're going to grab some fiber fill, and we're going to stuff this little hand arm. I already attached one, and we're going to stuff this next one. Make sure that when you stuff 2 limbs that they're stuffed the same amount. So you want to always be comparing them. Make sure you get the same amount of stuffing in each. I always stuff, I push it down, not really firm, but with a little bit of pressure until it starts popping out, and then that's generally when it's enough, and then I'll squeeze the top and pull this off. And it generally, as a rule, will always be the right amount. I'm going to take my needle, put some black yarn on there, but I want to measure it with my other hand, other arm, to make sure that it's equally stuffed. I think I can put a little bit more in this one. I took some out, but I need to put a little bit more if I want it to be even. Now let me try. I think that's better. And how I close this one is what I do is I take my needle and I go through the center here and over to the center on this side. Pull it through. Leave a long enough tail that you can hide it, and then I'm going to tie a knot. Then you can tuck that in there. Actually, you don't have to use your needle. You can just tuck that in there with the stuffing. Then you're going to go over to this side and over to this side, and you're going to pull it in together. And you will get a nice closed edge like that. I'm going to now take my... So then what you did is you drew all 4 pieces, 4 edges in. So on this long end, you took the center and the center on this one and the center on these 2. You pulled them together, and now you've got it folded like this, and it becomes a flat edge like that. Very nice. So now I'm just going to go across and then across this way, picking up all the sides. Get in there, knot it off, bring it through to the middle, go ahead and sew it closed the other direction, just back and forth like that, and picking up those very edge stitches, making a knot. And then for me, when I attach any limb, I take this right back to the center. So I'm going to go into the center, and from the center, I'm going to tie a knot. And I'll show you why. If you follow me, you know why. That's in the middle. Now all I got to do is take my piece. Now, which way did I put that? Let me gotta hold it in front of me here. Hang on. This is the front. No, this is the front. I'm going to take it to the side, and I'm going to follow it up, and I'm going to put it in the middle. So I'm following my leg all the way up to the top of the neck. I'm going to pick up a chunk in there. And then when I pull this on, this is centered because I started in the center. All right. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the front to the back, pick up some of the, oh my goodness. This is hard because it's slipping on my table, and I have to have it quite a distance from the camera so that you can see the whole thing. But I'm going to just pick up part of the edge there, just like that. See? Go in, and then I'm going to come back into the neck right close to where I was. I'm going to pick up a piece. I don't have to pull it really tight yet. I'm going to go in here again, pick up an edge, go back into the neck, pick up a piece. Then I'm going to pull it so it's tight. There we go. You heard it snap into place. Okay. And I'm going to continue that. But when I get to the edge here, which I'm at now, I can go into the side here. Generally, well, let's put one more here first. You can go one more to get a little bit closer to the side, but I'll show you what I do with my arms always. Okay. Then I can pick up one more little strand here. Then from there, I always, instead of just grabbing at the base here, I come up one row of stitches on the side. And then from there, I take that needle, I pop it into the front here and come into the middle, just like that. And then when I pull on it to tighten, it pulls this edge in so it becomes more rounded and you don't have a point there. Okay, so that's what I do on this side. Now I'm into the middle. I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to come down this. Oh, I snagged you. I can fix you. Don't worry. And then into here. And then pick up from here. Pull. Go into this next part of the neck, right close to where your last stitch was. Come up, go over. I'm going to go back into my neck. Then I'm going to take the side stitch right there. See how I'm on the side? I'm not on the top edge, I'm on the side. I'm going to put my yarn through there. I'm going to go back into where I last came out. I'm going to go into the center and out at the bottom. And I'm going to pull, and that's going to round off that shoulder. It gives it a much, much nicer look. Both shoulders then go in like that. And I hope I'm not too high in the camera. Both edges then curve in like that when you do it that way, and it looks much nicer. Go ahead, attach this one, then attach don't tie this off until you have the second one on, and make sure they're positioned exactly where you want them to be. And then when they are, then you can tie them off, hide your ends. And there they are. They look perfect. Before we go any farther with the face, we're going to fix our legs. Now, they hang straight down like that. We want them to be up at a curve like that. So to do that, you're going to put some black yarn on your needle. I'm going to turn it this way because it's easy for me to get at it. You're going to start on the very side, and you're going to go into the second row of black, maybe one row over to the front from the side. Here's your first stitch. This is your second stitch. You're going to go underneath that stitch, pick up some fiber fill. You're going to pull this through, and we need to make a knot so that it holds secure. You're going to just take that little piece and you're going to make a knot. This is your starting point. This is easy to do. Don't panic. Okay. Then we are going to go straight up, and we're going to count 5 rows up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to put our needle in there, go under the stuffing, and pick up a section. We're going to come down to this next, here's where our row was. We're going to go to this next row. We're going to come down, go underneath that second stitch with some fiber fill, come up, and then we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to put our needle in, go down, get under that fiber fill, pick some up, and come. And then we're going to pull on it. Oops, snag that. You're going to pull on it. And from there, we want to hold this up, and you can see that's sticking in there. You're going to just continue that. You're going to go to the second stitch, and we're going to come back. We're not going to just go one round here. We're going to come back. So, but I'm trying to stay on that 5th row up on the white, 2nd row on the black. Pick it up, and as much as possible, get some fiber fill from under there. That just helps to keep it in place. Down, pick up, and then back down under the fiber fill, row 5, and pull. Now you can't really see the row, but you get the you can visualize where you're going. And I'm going to pick up. This way my legs of this little guy are not just hanging straight down, they're at a little bit of an angle. And we're going to go in there, pull up, and pull. Come down. We're going to go right to the inside center. Back in, under the fiber, and pull up. Back down. Oops, I took a little too much there. And down and pull. And see how it just gives it a little, it's not completely, you can't completely have him sit unless you put a tail on him, then he'll be able to sit. And I haven't thought about a tail at this point, but maybe we'll have one by the end of the video, we'll see. And so that's where it goes. But now what you want to do, is you want to come back and reinforce it, okay? So I'm going to go back into here, go a little tiny bit higher, not much, just a little bit. And I'm going to reinforce that all the way back to the other side, trying to keep my line as straight as possible. I'm afraid I'm going off camera. If I am, I'm so sorry. Let's see here. Okay, and you're going to just go all the way back to the side here. You're going to tie a knot and you're going to hide it into the leg. And there you have. He's looking more chubby and more like a bear. And there you go. Once we get his face on, oh, so cute. I'm going to finish up, hide off my knots, and see you back. Now that that's done, we want to shape the arms to the body a little bit better. So you're going to take your yarn, you're going to grab a little chunk from underneath the arm, not the middle. Here's the middle. I'm going to go a little bit closer to the body, maybe 2/3 of the way. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tie a knot. These are all little fine details that when you do them, it just makes a difference in how your thing looks. And so it's worth taking that extra effort. I'm putting a little bit longer needle on. Actually, this is the same size. I thought that was the longer one. It's okay. We're going to then place our arm the way we want it. So right there, and I'm going to go into the body right where that is. I'm going to go under the stuffing. I'm going to come out on the other side, about where I'm going to pick up this one. Then I'm going to pick up this one right in the same spot. Okay. I'm going to put it back into that same, well, here's the spot where it came out. I'm going to go back into there. I got to use my right hand. I'm going to come back across. I'm going to come out where I went in here. And with black, you can't see it very well, but I'm trying to explain it to you as I go. And then from there, you're going to take these two yarn tails. Let me get this one off. You're going to take these two yarn tails, you're going to tie them, and you're going to pull. See what that did? It not only brought your arms closer, but it made this into the shape that we want it, which is more of a V. And that's how you do that part of the body. I'm going to take this, I'm going to tie off a knot. Nice and secure. One more. I'm going to hide my tail. Now we are ready to work on the face. How exciting. Let's go ahead and grab our machine. We're going to make our nose. It is now time to make the nose. It's repetition, friends, because every piece is the same. Cast on and row count. Well, the row counts are different, but the same technique to make each piece on this project. We're going to cast on. Just like that. Oh, I got a brand new box. I ran out of it on my last one, which is nice. We're going to go around slowly for our first round, making sure that our yarn does not split like it just did on this first one. So I'm going to help that back over the red teeth. There we go. I'm going to watch as it goes around, making sure that it does not split as it goes over those red teeth. And if I see that it's going to, I'm going to help it over like we did before. Just for the first row and not for every kind of yarn. But the 22 is, like I said before, is so funny that way. I don't know why. Doesn't make any sense to me, but this is what you have to do on your first row. Be careful that you don't break those red teeth. So when you're pulling up, you're pulling up. You're not pulling sideways so that you break a red tooth. Now, it's easy after that. I forgot to set my row counter, but I know this is row 2. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to go to 14. 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Then you're going to cut off a tail that's 1.5 rounds of your barrel, cast off, make 1. For the nose, we are going to take our piece, and stretch it. Didn't take long on the machine, did it? We're going to pull one end, take our needle. We need to keep one long end for sewing, so I don't want to cut them shorter yet until I know which one. We're going to go ahead, we're going to reinforce around the outside here. Just one time. We are going to tie off a knot. Pull that down with your thumb. Pop that into the center. Grab it with your hand so you don't snag it. You're going to pull it through. And we're literally going to put this little guy in half. It's small, but you pulled it through. Now you're going to tighten this end. It's going to look like a little flat pancake, but it'll change. It won't be like that. We're going to cut off one of these. We don't need this. We don't need both of these. So I'm going to cut off one of these to make it easier. We've got this in a little round pancake, which will change. We're going to tie a knot. There it is. Nice and tight. We're going to cut off this shorter one. We're going to then take this other one. And we are going to take that tail. And we're going to thread it through and bring it up to this very side. Anywhere, any side, wherever you take it. And then you're going to pop one little tie on there, one little knot, to hold it secure so that when we go in and pull on it, we're not going to gather in here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your needle and you're going to weave it in and out of the very top edge. Miss a row, pick up a row. Miss a row, pick up a row, miss, pick up, and so on and so forth all the way around. Almost there. Then you're going to grab some fiber fill. I think I'm almost there, right there, I think is where I started. You're going to grab some fiber fill. Once you straighten this out just a little bit, make sure it's smooth. You're going to pop that inside. That's way too much. You don't need much. And this is the thing that you need to pay close attention to. We do not want to pull this tight because then we'll get too big of a circle. So I'm going to pull that. I'm going to put maybe 3 fingers in there and pull it to a 3 finger. Now your fingers and my fingers are different, I know. But you want to leave it open like that. Just have it, pull it enough so that it's coming in and you have a nice little edge. Then you're going to take this, make a knot, just so it doesn't tighten anymore. You're going to grab your face. You're going to pop this on. And you're going to sew this on around. So what I'm going to do, this is middle, about there, centered. I'm going to grab part of the head and then grab the edge of my piece. Go back into the head, as close to the piece as you can, to the circle as you can, then pick up that next row. Go back in. And pick up that next row. You're going to do that all the way around until your piece is positioned like that. Before you get it tied off and before you get completely around, you add a little bit more stuffing for it to be in the right position that you want it to be. It looks a little bit like a duck now, but of course we know it's not going to end up like that. You're going to take your yarn tail, you're going to make a knot, pull that knot down with your thumb. I'm going to make one more. Pop that up into the nose, pull it on it so that knot goes inside, cut it off. And we're going to grab our 22 needle machine and our black yarn. We're going to make the eyes. One more piece to do on our machine, oh, 2 more pieces, but one. It's the eyes, 2 eyes. We're going to cast on like normal. Is it getting boring yet? You're getting practice, that's for sure. Oh. And into the yarn guide. Slowly knitting that first row. Helping them over the red teeth when necessary. And friends, you are going to knit 6 rows, then you're going to cast off. So I won't make you sit through this as I do this. You're going to cast on, knit 6 rows, cast off, make 2. These are the eyes. Oh, I'm getting such a mess here. Okay, we've got our eyes off the machine. I'm going to take it. I'm going to stretch this little guy. And then we are going to pull the one side closed, making sure we smooth out the top as always. We don't need to go around this circle and reinforce this one. And we just need to take our needle, pop it on our yarn tail, pop it through that center, pull it. We're going to close up this one in the same manner, smoothing it out and pulling on it. Then we're going to flatten it like a little pancake, okay? Then tighten that again. Once that's tight, you can cut off one of these because it always makes it easier. And tie a knot. And when you tie it tight, the 2 sides will come up to meet each other and help get it flat. There we go. Cut off that one because you only need one long tail. You can go ahead and play with this just a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take, no, not that. We're going to take a big eye. Now these, it depends what eyes you use. These ones are, I get them from Amazon. They're a mushroom eye and it's a button. So I sew them on. And with these large ones like this, I can just use yarn. And so that's the beauty of it. If you don't have sew-on eyes like this, then you can use your safety eyes and attach them at this point as well, like whatever safety eyes that you have. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thread that on. Then I'm going to go through the center of this eye, pull it through. Then I'm going to take this other, I got all these yarn strands. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm going to take this other end that went through that eye, pop it on my needle, bring it through, picking up some strands in between so that they don't just both fall through. And we're going to bring it through. I'm going to tie it in a secure knot. Just like that, and one more. I can then take this and cut it off. And my eye is ready to place on. I want to cut these ones even shorter because I don't want them poking out. Okay, take your piece. You're going to do that to both of them, of course. I do not want a round eye. I want an elongated eye. So when you put your yarn tail back onto your needle, you're going to feed it out to the corner, just like what we've done prior. You're going to tie a little knot. And what you're going to do is you're going to have it so that this will be the top of the eye and this will be the bottom of the eye. I'm going to take, and this will be the 2 sides. I'm going to take this side and I'm going to fold it in. And I'm going to meet it to this side. So I'm going to just go across like that. And if you see what I'm doing, I'm not going to do it tight. I'm just going to do it very loosely. And then I'm going to come through one more time. And it's very loose. There's no knots there, but it just gives it that shape that I want. And then when I place that down like that, that's the shape that I want. More of an oval than a circle. And so I'm going to line that up with my nose. So the middle of my eye is here, but this is the middle of the, I'm going to have that up near the bridge of the nose, just to go around the nose like that. And I'm going to begin sewing this on, just like I did the nose, right up close to the head and picking up the edge of my eye. I'm going to do that all the way around, forming it into that oval as I go. All right, how did that go? He's coming along. He's going to look like a panda soon. We're going to grab our 22 needle machine, our black yarn. Let's make the ears. It's now time to make the ears. We're going to bring our last white and our first black needle in line with our yarn guide. Cast on in front of that first black, behind, in front, and behind, letting it slip through your fingers as you go, setting your row counter to 0 before you get to the end. Now this yarn works like a dream on the 46 needle, but somehow when you put it into the 22 needle, it likes to snag and catch and split on those red teeth when you do your cast on. So I'm going to go very slow, making sure that that black, grab your little needle or your loom pick, that this black yarn goes down over those loops. It wants to just go over one. Oh, now it's going. So if you go slow, hope my head isn't in that camera. If you go slow, it'll often get them both to drop down. But sometimes you gotta, before it gets too far, you gotta just help it over both teeth. This one's gonna split too. So before your needle gets to here, like when it's about here, it's a good time to pick this up and put it over the 2 red teeth. Then it's not tight. And that's how you prevent the split and the awful first row of casting on. And you know what? It doesn't take long, does it? I just did it with you and it was quick. That was row 1. Now you can knit, and you're going to knit for 14 rows. Once you have 14 rows done, you are going to cut off a tail that goes around your barrel 1.5 to 2 times, and you're going to cast off just like we have for every other piece so far. Okay? And then you're going to make 2 of those. Those are for the ears. And 14. I'm going to cut off a long tail, cast off, make 2. Okay, the ears are fun to make. Once you have them off the machine, you're going to stretch them. Then we're going to close one side. We're used to doing that in this project, aren't we, friends? This one I'm going to reinforce around just one time. Pulling that tail through, and the other half, and through. I'm going to pop that into the center, bring it out the other side. We're going to close this other end and make it into a pancake like what we've done so many times already. Straighten that out. Pull on this one. I'm going to cut this one off again. We're going to tie a firm knot. And when you tie a firm knot, it really tightens this other end too. So that's why I didn't reinforce this one. And we're going to knot that off. And one more time. Cut off this shorter one. Put the longer one onto your needle. We're going to, first of all, stretch out our circle. We're going to take our yarn, bring it out to the edge, tie it off in a knot so it doesn't pull in here when you tighten. Then we're going to fold it in half, just like that. Okay, this is out on the side. We're going to fold it in half. We're going to then go ahead and go across and across and across all the way to the other side. All right, so I'm going to take my piece, and this is where my circle is. Like, this is where the point to the center of our piece was. We're going to put that to the head. Okay, so I'm going to position it where I think it should go. That's halfway up and to the front just a little bit. And I'm going to come down from my head about an inch, I would say. So then I'm going to pick up some, just like that. And I'm going to pull that corner down. And then I'm going to go back into my piece, go right across, and then pick it up, pick up some of the head, pull it through, go back through the base of my ear, pull it through, go back into the head, pick up a little piece. And if at all possible, always pick up a little bit of fiber fill with you on the way, and that helps. And that's how you're going to just keep going back and forth attaching your ear. Do not tie it off until you, and hide your ends until you have the second one placed. We want to make sure that they are even. So go ahead, continue sewing on like that, and your ear will sit like that. When I get to the base of my ear, I'm going to make sure I pick up that very corner. Then I'm going to go up and into the middle of the ear, come out the back. And then I'm going to pull on that. And that takes that sharp edge and curves it in for that part of the ear too. And I don't know if you could see that difference, but it makes a huge difference. I'm going to go up and do the same thing to this one, because this one I thought I had, but I didn't get it tight enough. So I'm going to go back up. I'm going to put my needle into that first stitch there, and then I'm going to bring it down so that it's rounded on my head. My goodness, this little guy has been so worth the effort. So cute. Let's take some black yarn, put it on our needle, and let's give a little bit of fine detail to this little nose, okay? So we're gonna come up from somewhere. Where am I gonna come up? I'll just come up over here into the nose. In the center, right above the point. And then we're going to just come up and over, maybe up and over, just like that. Come back down into the point. Then we're going to go up beside this strand. And come back down. We're going to begin to fill this in. We can make a line across here too. You know, why don't you do that? Make a line across here. And then come back down to the point. And then follow it up over that line. Don't go under the line, because if you go under the line, then you see this line after. You want to use it as your guide and go over top. Come down into that point. And let that sit right beside that next one. Over top of that line, back down into the point. And if our point begins to get square, because we're going into it so many times, we'll just lower it and make it more pointy. Here's what I want to tell you. For this part, don't make a really big black triangle. When you are making these, you want a nice tiny nose. You don't want it to go from here to here. That's just way too big, too overwhelming, and it just doesn't look as proportioned as it should. So think smaller than bigger. Okay, and we're going to continue going across until we fill this all in. And once I get to this corner, I'll show you how I generally finish this off. Okay, there it is. So cute. Now, whenever I do a nose on any animal and I'm doing the triangle like this, when I have it finished, when I finish filling it in, I go ahead and I do the border one more time. So I'm going to go into there. Oops, that's a little too far. Come across, and that line there will finish that off nice and evenly. This one here will finish off this side a little nice and evenly, and I'm going to go down just a smidgen more there. Pop that in. That's where my knot is, so that's going to be hard. Oops. Or not. I'm going to come around here. I'm going to go a little bit lower. I have to put the, oh, maybe I can get it now. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to come down. And I'm going to snag my, let's do that one more time. Into the point, straight out, pull it through, make sure that last one that you did goes right over to the side because that was how you were straightening out your border there. And then you're going to come back up to that point, pop it in there, come out where you went in over here on the side of the head, pull through, just like that. Oh, you guys, isn't that sweet? You're going to tie a knot, this first one loosely, second one tight. Pop this back onto your needle. By the way, these are metal wool needles, if you've been wondering the whole time you've been watching. They have little plastic loop on the end. They come in a package of 3 different sizes. I love them. They're my favorite. I get them from Walmart. You can also get them from Amazon. They're called metal wool needles. I'm going to pull that out, cut it off, take my needle, pull up because I don't want that black to be showing. Oh my goodness, this guy is so cute. Isn't he just so cute? Oh, I love him. You know, I took a white scrunchie. Get them from Dollarama. I'll show you another color. There's these little things. They're just kids' scrunchies. You can get them in all different kinds of colors. And I took a scrunchie and I put it around his neck. And I think that's absolutely adorable. Now, you can leave him like this if you like. He's got no tail. Or you can join me and you can make a tail. You know what? I wasn't going to make a tail for him. Poor guy was going to be without a tail. But now that I see him, I think he needs one. It'll help him sit, but it's also, you know, pandas have tails, so why did I miss out a tail? So you can leave him like this, or you can join me, grab your 22 needle machine and your white yarn, and let's finish this little guy off with a tail. For his little tail, we are going to bring the last white, the first black needle, in line with our yarn feeder. We're going to take our white yarn, cast on, just as we have done all along. Set our row counter to 0. Open our latch, pop that in. Friends, you're going to knit 30 rows. Once you have 30 rows knit, you're going to cast off. Just how we've been doing. Oops. So cast on, knit 30 rows, cast off, see me back. Taking that tail, we are going to stretch it. We are going to close it. Let's reinforce around for the last time. They have a fairly, not like a long tail, but it's not a stubby short tail. So we're going to pop that needle through that little center, bring that little end through so that this is now in half. Close up this side like we've already done before. Bring that inside one up to the outside one and tie off in a firm knot. 1 and 2. Turn this the other way. We are going to stretch that out, put a wee bit of stuffing in there. Well, this is like a stubby tail, but not really. And then we're going to take this and we're going to sew it onto the back here. Oops, lost my needle again. That's the problem with those wool needles. You always, if you pull too hard, the yarn easily comes out of them. But it's easy to put back in, isn't it? We're going to tuck that in. Now we've got ourselves a nice little tail here that we can sew on. We're going to pop this onto the back and literally sew it on. I don't want to have it that round though. So when I sew it on, I'm going to pull it so that this gathers in a little bit. If you need to gather it beforehand, if you struggle doing it otherwise, then gather it beforehand. But I'm going to pick up in the center here. I'll show you. Right there. Oops, I snagged it right there. I don't want that to happen, do I? And I'm going to pop that on. And then I'm just going to go around. This is a little awkward. I'm going to go around. I'm going to pick up some of the body. And then I'm going to pick up a stitch going across like that. Then I'm going to pull. And I'm going to keep doing that. And as I go, I'm going to gather it a little bit. So when I pick up on the body here, then I pick up a row or even two on here, pick up a section, then pull, and then continue around. And that way, don't sew it on so that it's the circumference that it is like that. You want to make it smaller, okay? As you're sewing on, you're going to make this smaller. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of the body. I'll show you once again. Then I'm going to pick up maybe 2 rows there, and I'm going to pull it down. So I'm pulling it down on that yarn tail, and that's making it narrower. So then I'm going to pick up a little bit more. I'm going to grab, let's say 2 rows. Here we go. It fell out of my needle again. We're getting near the end of the project and getting tired. Pull it, then slide that down. See how I'm gathering that? So it's getting narrower. I'm going to do that all the way around. I'll show you one more time. Pick up some of the body. Pick up 2 rows of the tail. Pull and slide that down. And it's naturally gathering it to be shorter, okay? I'm going to take out some of that stuffing. I don't like it quite so full. I just want it a tail, but not a big clunky thing, okay? And we're going to continue that process all the way around. Picking up 2 rows, tightening it, and then pulling it together. You see how that gathers like that? It's perfect. I'm going to do that all the way around, tie it off, hide my ends, and I'll see you back. There we go, friends. That's what the tail looks like, okay? So there's the front. It's not going to help him sit any, but it just gives him completion. So there you go. And there he is, all proudly sitting by the rocks. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, friends, and please make sure you show me in my Facebook group. I'd love to have you join us over there. The link will be in the description box below. Take care and have a very blessed day.